And we do hear the background noise. Grant, thanks.
Okay. And just keep in mind that for anyone who's up that we're talking to, I'm talking to up here and down there, we are doing a quick little test, just making sure this is all working again. Looks like it is. It's showing it's live. I got my chats over here. All right, maybe one of you guys could go over and here, let me get it up for you. And we're just making sure everything's working, guys. So if you hear my voice, then please type down that you do. All right.
Okay, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are over there now? Yeah, I see everyone. All right. I can hear you, Chester. Excellent. Sounds lovely. Oh, so sweet. All right.
Just realized that the chats are visible in the Hangout with this.
No, that's fine. I'm
Yep.
not showing those anyway. We're just trying to get ourselves. We're going to go here in a minute. Everyone who's listening, we're just trying to make sure that everything is working. We didn't have it working yesterday, so we want to use this new thing because it's pretty cool. All right. See, I'm not seeing it on my page though. That's interesting. But you guys were able to find it no problem on my page, huh?
Yep, it popped up.
Oh, there we go. All right, it finally showed. It took a second, but everyone's hearing it fine.
Yep, it popped up.
Excellent. All right, so we're going to start here in a second, guys. So everyone could go ahead and. Oh, there we go. All right, it finally showed. It took a second. All right, excellent. All right. So just everyone go ahead and everyone up here with me, and of course anyone listening, just go ahead and share this out to the world, please, and let everyone know that we're going to be starting here. I'm glad we got it working because this is a pretty cool format, actually. Thank you, Pixel. He taught me all about this. All right. Oh, hello, homeless liberal. I see you over there. Model 3, John Piner. Hi, how you doing? All right, so everything is coming through loud and clear, I guess. And if you guys have any trouble over the chats when I change through some of these things, just let us know. It should be all fine, though. All right, so let's go ahead and start the show. You guys ready?
Yep. I was born ready for this.
That's awesome.
Let's do this.
All right.
Round 2, fight.
Okay, now we're gonna show our. I'm gonna start. We're gonna show our new opener. All right, so here we go. All right, and welcome everyone to Bugbear's Basement. We are going to continue what we did yesterday because of the small YouTube apocalypse, and I'm still not really sure how that happened. Anybody know exactly what happened with the YouTube apocalypse yesterday?
It was a DOS.
The Russians.
The Russians.
The Russians did it. That's cool.
The Russian bots.
Yeah, I have a lot of evidence suggesting so.
Okay, well there we go. Boosters on it, so we're all saved.
Yeah, I'm on the case side. I'm going to get those pesky Russian bots.
From the future.
We want to continue what we were doing yesterday. And we were, of course, talking about Kraven the Hunter and Kraven's Last Hunt, which, you know, is a really great book, and we're all enjoying getting so in depth with it. And we want to continue that today. But before we do, just a few announcements, of course. Don't forget to, of course, hit the like button. subscribe, and share. It helps us grow. We're growing great. We're all happy. Everyone's involved, and it's going really well. Also, don't forget the art contest we have going on. Just go to our Facebook page, which you can see the link down below, and go ahead and join up there, and you'll see that Denali has an announcement, and we're going to be doing that on October 31st. The contest ends on the 30th, though, so get your submissions in for that Fanspeak logo and mascot. And of course, we're going to put that in a full page Alterna comic book as an advertisement, but you get to have your art in a comic book, which is really cool. We're also involved with the Comics Titans fundraiser, which is a charity raffle that's going on. You can go over to their Facebook page on Comics Titans fundraiser, and they'll be joining us on October 31st as well to be able to do that raffle, which is going to be really cool. Also, check out all our links down below. We have all the contact information we have. And of course, one of the big things with our show, or all our shows we're doing, and we have more ideas and we're growing and such, is that we want to have more and more fans with us. We want you to come up here and joining us. That's the whole point of Fanspeak and the fandom zones in particular, is to have the fans come on and share with each other. And it's been going great. I mean, look at all the people we've talked to and we've met. It's really been going a lot of fun. So just go down and talk to us on the Fanspeak Facebook group and join us. You can contact me on Facebook and just just say, put me on, and we will get you on the show. Of course, you also can contact me on Twitter. We're doing podcasts on Anchor, of course, and that's kind of cool if you enjoy that. We just put our third one up, which is the interview with Mike Barron, so that's kind of cool. And also, we are sponsored by Indicron. Thank you very much, Pixel Trader. He is definitely a big promoter of this community, and we're really happy to have him on board with us and all the great things he does. Also, we have a new thing going on down here. You'll see that we have a streamlabs.com button. And this, what you're seeing right here, and that great little intro we were able to put on, is because of Streamlabs. And there's a lot of little cool things we can do with that. So I'm really looking forward to all the little bells and whistles that are going to start being added to our live streams. But we are not monetized. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not, but we don't put commercials on our stuff, and we're not going to here on YouTube. This is not about making money. We're not professional YouTubers. We're not trying to promote or, we're not doing that. There's nothing wrong with that.
How am I supposed to pay for the caffeine I need to intake to deal with this show?
Well, we're going to. That's what I'm getting to. I'm about to help you, Booster. Okay.
Oh. And how?
How? Well, what we did is with the Streamlabs, what you can do is you can donate. And those donations will go, of course, toward operation, better equipment, paying for stuff that's already been paid for, to be honest with you. But mainly what we want to do with it is we want to use it to have giveaways on the channel. We want to give away comics. Who knows? Maybe a statue, or we have to see what kind of money comes in for us to do that. But we want to do giveaways. We think that would be a lot of cool, really cool thing to do. And I want to do a giveaway today, actually. And what I'm going to do is we're going to have a little bit later in the show, we are going to have ourselves a little vote over here in the chat, and we're going to pick one of those people and one of you guys, and we're going to give you Kraven's Last Hunt. So today is our very first giveaway, but if you want us to have more, be able to do more of that, and you want to be part of and help support us, just go ahead and down and use that, and that's what we're using for. So you guys sitting up here with me, what do you think about doing giveaways on the channel? What do you think about that?
I think it's great.
Fun and interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
This show is Fanspeak. It's by fans. It's for fans. It's about the community building each other up and
how many
sharing
things you got to give away today?
love.
I am going to give away a single issue of Kraven's Last Hunt.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we'll get to that later, but I think it'll be cool.
Can we get it on this? I mean, I might want that.
You might want that.
Just
well, we're gonna do the excuse me. We're gonna do the vote in the chat over here. So I guess if you get picked, people will scream and yell. But all right, we'll get to that later, guys. But for right now, let's go ahead and move on, and let's say hello to all the people that are sitting up here with us. Now, I see you have that up already. You can hold on to that, Denali. Just wait a minute. All right. So first person we got over here with us, of course, is from down in Australia. How you doing, Beowulf?
Doing good, thanks. Yourself?
I am doing great, sir. And let's go over here to your neighbor, Beowulf. We have Booster.
Hey lads, how we doing?
Doing great, man. I'm actually a beautiful day out here today. I'm enjoying it. Of course, sitting next to him is the chairman of the board himself, Mr. DeWolf.
Hey, doing all right? Yeah. Hey, you know what? I went to work. I came home, but I get to speak with you guys, so that makes it even all the more better.
It does, man. It's yeah, I really enjoy sitting down and chatting and making new friends and stuff. All right, and of course we have our intrepid reporter Denali, who is invaluable to us. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for joining us and being part of this community. So aloha. Hope you enjoy the show.
All right, and then of course we have back from yesterday, and we're really happy to have him. I love your insight, Dr. Wright. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. And of course we have Pixel Trader, who is quiet.
Yeah, I had myself muted, doing a bunch of stuff over here. But I'm good, man. It's good to be here.
Boomer. He's like anti-boomer, but still.
Yeah, he is. Okay. All right, guys. So what we were doing yesterday, we before the internet decided to collapse, we were talking about Kraven's Last Hunt, of course, and we had introduced Kraven, and we had introduced Peter Parker's Spider-Man, which, you know, at this point in the run, in 1987, I believe, when this came out. We didn't know what Venom was, but in this comic book, it's quite clear that Venom is starting to. He's talking to Peter. The character of Venom is starting to form, even if it wasn't completely formed over at Marvel. And that's a cool little aspect of Peter Parker in this comic. But of course, now what we want to introduce is the other two main characters that are in here. Now, Denali, you have this set up. So, are we going to talk about Mary Jane first, or are we going to talk about Vermin?
Vermin first.
All right. So
this is the introduction page for Vermin.
All right. So why don't you go ahead and be Lady Denali?
All right. Stupid stinking weather. Stupid stinking rain. I hate it. I just hate it. What? Boom. Ah! They all fell down.
That you needed more of a New Yorker accent, man. That
I
stupid
can't.
stinking rain. I just hate it. No, that's not. No, that was terrible.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I got the vibe. Don't worry.
Yeah, see, I didn't try.
Now,
Yum.
Yeah. Now, of course, they keep showing the grave here with Spider-Man, and which we skipped over that. We'll come back to that, guys. Don't worry about it. But we just want to introduce the characters. So here we go. Let me give my crack at this. They're so strange, the ones that live up there. Look at this one, with her funny clothes and sweet smell. I don't remember how they do that. Make themselves smell like that? Like, could you raise it up, please? Perfume? I think that's what they call it. A mask in a bottle. Not a very good mask, though.
Who's there?
She's just like all of them up there. Underneath the sweet smells is a stink worse than mine. But oh, what they like to pretend they're better than me.
Who? Oh my God.
My name is Vermin. 'Tis because of them that I missed it. 'Tis because of them that I have to hide down here. Them and their funny clothes and their sweet smells. Yum, yum, yum. I know that's
Chester's creepy. I gotta break in. Just Chester's creepy.
That sent chills down my back. Just I can't sleep anymore. I'm gonna think you're under my bed.
Oh, good. Success. Actually, I felt it was a bit Joker, but oh well.
Why would you think he's under your bed? I mean, you're hiding from your mom or something. What's going on?
Okay.
Don't judge my lifestyle. All right, you can.
All right. Well, this is of course Vermin, And I don't know what you guys. I want to talk about Vermin a little bit before we move on to the rest of the story. Now, Vermin, he plays his part in this story. It's not the story. I mean, the story is about Kraven, and Spider-Man is, you know, an interactive part of it. But Vermin is important to a point. He represents various things, I think. But when I was young, Vermin creeped me out. He was so
Oh, yeah.
scary. What do you guys think about Vermin?
I don't know
Yeah.
if it counts as spoilers or not, but I find him pathetic. You know, he was like that's probably near the end of it, you know, but he becomes like pathetic and sympathetic and just he's like this, well, like a rat, really, like he's supposed to be.
Yeah,
I guess, but he's not weak though.
No,
Absolutely, yeah.
No, he's not weak, and it's really tragic because he's really used to be a guy, and then because of a horrible experiment that another villain did, he was fused together.
Yeah,
So to create
Baron Zemo, I think, right?
correct.
Yeah, see, I see what you're saying, Booster, like with the sympathy because he's pathetic, but at the same time, for me, it's outweighed by the creepy factor. Like the fact when he just pulls that woman down and then just eats her, it's like, yeah, it just does something to me.
That is the worst of the worst. It's cold-blooded killer, and on top of that, the end result.
And he only goes after weak people, if you notice as well.
If anything, that sympathetic note, that humanity that's still in him, if anything, it kind of amplifies the creepy beastness of him, like the inhumanness of him. But yeah,
and that's exactly what it's supposed to do. He's an animal. He's the beast of this conversation. He's going to be the difference. He's the mediator. Okay, I mean, you guys are kind of it's at the tip of your tongue or almost at the impetus of your brain, but you're not able to quite get it out of there. Is that you had it right? Like, I mean, look at him. He's living in the filth, and he's acting on impulse. The reason why he goes after women is because they're easier. Why is that? Because what is the least? You know, what animals do? They follow the least path of resistance, right? That's what he's doing.
That is, yeah.
That's exactly what he's doing. He's living below everybody. He doesn't want to deal with them. He can talk to the rats, and so he's, you know, comfortable with them. They're his friends. They do what he asks. You know what I mean? And you know, what is he? You know, like we skipped past it, I believe, but you know, you have the part where Kraven is eating of the flesh of the spider in order to take on the spider, to become the spider, to, you know, be able to you know, resist the spider, and he eats of the flesh of man for the same reason.
True, and he, of course, he's also doing it for sustenance, but he doesn't. He's not himself. He's not human. And you're right. He does represent that beast. But I
well,
get
it's more than
depth
just
of
a
it.
beast. It's like the most primal man you can imagine.
That's true. Yeah, but I know when I was a kid, he just creeped me out. Especially when you grabbed that lady, pulled her down the sewer, and they continued down Denali.
If you like, I could do a voice from Mary Jane fitting off that chin.
Oh yeah, you could fit that chin. Now we're gonna come back to Vermin because he is, of course, a big part of the story. But we don't want to dwell on him too long just yet because I think he's more important later. So let's go ahead and introduce our. I don't know. Do you guys consider her a major part of this story?
Yes.
Denali does. So, Booster, have at it, my feminine sir.
All right, sure. I'll just somehow I thought being a newlywed would be a little different. Sitting by the fire, drinking white wine, snuggling up. But of course, that requires someone to snuggle up with. And my husband isn't here. Where are you, Peter? You're supposed to meet me here hours ago and help me pack up the rest of my stuff. Get it over to our place. But no, you're probably out there webbing around, making the world free and safe for our democracy, fighting for your life against Dr. Squid or Octopus or whatever his name is. You probably did. Stop that, Mary Jane. Peter's been playing hero since high school. He's good at what he does. He's dead. Spend a fortune on these Manhattan rents, and this is what you get your money for. Freeze, you little. Peter's dead. He's not dead. It's perfectly fine. He's just a little late. Oh, you're a bold one, huh? Want to fight? Lying in an alley in a pool of blood, floating face down in the East River, shot, stabbed, bones broken, heads crushed, dead. You filthy dead. Disgusting. How's that?
He said to Mary Jane, not Captain Marvel.
Okay, so was that like Mary Jane a la Renfamous or what?
I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't gonna say it.
Oh,
We're not picking on Rufus in our streams.
No, we're not picking on anybody other than the very square-jawed chin of Mary Jane in this comic book. And actually, the only complaint I have about the art in the whole book is I don't like the face they put on Mary Jane here. That's the only complaint I have, actually.
Honestly, that was gold, Booster.
It was gold. It was gold.
It was gold.
I think you've disturbed the chat, though. I
Booster.
know you've disturbed
I thought
me.
that was what? I thought that was perfect. I don't know what you lads are into.
Dr.
What
Wright,
you're
are
on
you
about.
okay over there? Are you breathing?
She's got a very
I'm
mad.
ruining Mary Jane for him.
I'm gonna have to,
Go
you know,
ahead.
maybe go shoot a gun, something masculine, watch something that's feminine after that, so that I can remember what women are like. You know, I mean, I'm completely disassociated with them now.
I know, that was pretty bad. But, of course, it does introduce Mary Jane, and it introduces her worries. Now, Pixel, you're on here with us today, so just as kind of a quick catch-up from yesterday, what do you think about this series, this 6-part series, Kraven's Last Hunt? Do you have any opinions on it?
I have the opinion that I need to read it.
Okay. All right. That's
Actually, so, yeah, I read through like the first couple of pages of it, and I hadn't gotten as far as, actually, this is about where I left off, so I'm pretty lost at this point now.
Oh, that's okay. Well, you know Spider-Man, so what do you think about Spider-Man?
I like Spider-Man.
So what do you think he means to Marvel, though? Give us some depth of opinion.
What does Spider-Man mean to Marvel?
Yeah.
It's an interesting character because I think he kind of represents what anybody could be, I guess, with that. Because granted, he has the superpowers, but he's always been kind of a ground level kind of fighter and stuff. So he's one of those guys that I think is probably the easiest for a lot of people to relate to. You know, a student or a somebody that's not really a high level kind of career type person that gets a certain amount of responsibility levied upon them, and they've got to step it up. And so, but Spider-Man's kind of always been the golden boy, I think, of Marvel. Like he's I mean, aside from Cap, obviously, but he's always been that character that people really, I don't know, he's the face. I mean, if he wasn't the face of him,
character.
what's that? Yeah, absolutely.
And Valnet over here in the chat says that Spidey is the heart of Marvel. I agree.
I would agree with that. He's the moral conscience. He seems to always want to do the right thing, and he never really strays from that.
I think they're so desperate to push Captain Marvel because they don't have the full rights to Spider-Man. So they're trying to push anything, but they'll never be able to shake off Spider-Man as the face, the flagship character, you know?
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
No, they want to push him away because he's a man. But
Well, there is that. That is part of it. I mean, we chuckle at it, but it's the truth. This absolutely has part of it. They are pushing the feminist agenda, which I don't mind them pushing female characters. I mean, Captain Marvel, if done right, could easily be a flagship character. It's not going to replace Spider-Man because he is the heart of Marvel. He is Marvel, as John Piner says. But it's, you know, they just are doing it wrong. This is not the Captain Marvel we want. Now I noticed that they're trying to soften what they've been doing recently in the new Marvel Captain Marvel books, but it's kind of too late, too little, too late. You've ruined the character. You have created Carl Manvers, and there is basically complete boycott against that character. So it's unfortunate, I think, because, you know, like I said, I used to love Miss Marvel, but they've ruined the character. But that is way off topic. So let's get back to our comic here now. Mary Jane, guys, what do you think she read? Because we're getting into the depth of this story, because this story is quite deep. it's not a just simple throwaway fun little comic. This is quite a deep comic, and I think that's why it's considered one of the best, if not the best, Spider-Man comic run ever done. And it's because of the depth of what they're introducing, what they're talking about here. So, what do you think Mary Jane represents here? Because she must represent something, right?
It's a foreshadowing of what Peter is looking for life. I mean, this whole introduction is a foreshadowing what's going to happen in the future issues. You know, we don't know it now, but when we read it and look back, it's like, yes, this is a foreshadowing of things to come.
Anybody else? Booster, you have an opinion on that?
No, I'm all good.
Cool.
Over here. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Yeah, no, she is a foreshadowing, I guess, but she's also, I think she's also representing, in a way, Peter, because as we've already talked about, Peter's kind of losing himself right now in the comic books. Now we talked about this off air, guys, yes, because the internet broke, or YouTube broke, and well, because I don't know if it was myself or someone else. Maybe it was me. I had mentioned that we were seeing the introduction of Venom. So as the good nerds that we are, these guys went and they searched the internet and found all the information to understand exactly when Venom was created and the inception and all that. So since that is a topic here, why don't you guys tell them what you found out yesterday when you went looking around and trying to research that?
Well, there's actually a bigger story involved with Venom, and that is the symbiote. And so we had to get away from Venom and find out when the incarnation of the symbiote was. And so the symbiote actually has more involved, going back to when it came to Spidey as the black suit back in Secret Wars, and then how it was, whether or not it was actually a being at that time or just a cool costume, and you didn't see the symbiote being created by the same writer of that you see here with Kraven, and also back in some of the other comics, until later when Spidey starts getting this extra voice in his head. So it did start changing from being just a costume into a separate entity. And what we found was that there in 1985 to 86 is when they started this concept, and the last time of Kraven was in 1987. So the actual concept of the symbiote being a separate character that was going to become a problem for Peter, that he was going to have to deal with it, and it would then eventually become Venom. And Venom then came only about another 40 issues later. Well, after the Last Hunt, I believe it's only 10 issues from Kraven the Last Hunt to actually being separated from Peter and becoming Venom with Eddie Brock. So Venom was definitely a character concept with a personality during this time frame.
Yeah, and it was the and it was the same writer that did the symbiote storyline at the beginning in 252, and the same writer did Venom at 300. So it bookends with the same writer.
It does, yeah. And of course, this conversation came about because we had mentioned that we're seeing Spider-Man is conflicted. And there's several points in this book where it looks like he's talking to himself and stuff. And I think this is an interesting point that's going on in the background of this story. Danelli, could you do us a favor and stop sharing and go and find where Spider-Man is coming out of the tunnel, please, or when he's resurrecting. Now, well, we'll get to that when Danelli comes up, but well, one thing we haven't talked about, because we're just introducing the characters, but before the Mary Jane character in the book, Kraven decides that he's going to defeat Spider-Man once and for all, and he goes out and he beats him quite easily, and he shoots him, and then he buries him. That's what that grave you saw. So in the comic book, in this storyline, Spider-Man is dead. Now, I always wondered why Kraven was able to beat him so easily. But But of course, we know why, and this is what Denali's bringing up. Is because Spider-Man, Peter Parker was having a lot of trouble. His brain's a mess. This symbiote is messing with him. Whilst Denali looks for that, Dr. Wright, you have an opinion to put in on that?
Well, I mean, he does a lot of things. I mean, the suit is definitely corrupting him and weakening him at that time. But there's also, before we read it, it talks about how Kraven drinks of the roots and poison and herbs and everything, and he actually casts a spell once he eats the flesh of the spider. He casts a spell on Spider-Man himself, and he's actually like confusing him. And
Yeah.
so it's almost like the whole I don't know, like everybody talks about, when Bane broke Batman's back. They neglect to mention the 7 days of inner city war straight that Batman had to go through, that Bane unleashed in order to get to that point. And that's kind of the same thing. Is there's a culmination of events that are happening here. Spider-Man has already been out. Like, I mean, he hasn't just gone out. He went out and then came back. So he was only asleep for like a very short period of time. May not even be able to get into his REM, And then all of a sudden, like, he hears this like banging, and it's in his head. And then he's like, what is it? What is it? And then he gets up, and then he gets hit by some sort of dart, like a tranquilizer dart. And, and he's still got this kind of thing going on, plus the suit, plus the grief, everything going on. He's not sure if he's fighting himself, or if he's fighting his own depression, his doubt. He's obviously, not performing his marital duties because of what, how Mary Jane is acting. And so you have all of this culminating into him almost giving up.
Yeah,
I think I noticed something in there when, and also that you were just saying, when he takes upon and eats the spiders, takes on this essence of the spiders, Spidey's spider sense also, doesn't go off. And Chester was kind of alluding to the fact that was part of maybe Venom being in his head, but also where Kraven isn't going to set him off because the spider sense actually just basically senses a spider, something that's not a threat in the Kraven.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And he actually mentions in that why am I so slow? I should not have been hit by that dart. He's talking to himself the whole time. And we do apologize. We can't show you every page in the comic. It's just, we'll get a copyright strike. So we're just kind of talking about what happened. But here there's a bunch of stuff that's going on. Kraven has decided that, well, he's killed Spider-Man. He's put him in the ground, and then he decides to be Spider-Man. So he puts on the black a version of his own version, and he goes out and starts being Spider-Man. Of course, Kraven is brutal, and he kills some people, and the cops and the press in New York City think that Spider-Man has gone crazy. So all this is going on in the background. And then we have the return of Spider-Man. Of course, he was hit by a tranquilizer dart and buried alive, but he's not actually dead. And this is him coming back, and this is very interesting, and there's a bit of a debate between us if this is the birth, or like an early birth of Venom, or is there something else going on here? It's interesting. Let's go through this. And who wants to read? Who wants to be Peter Parker? Who wants to be Spider-Man?
Can I just make one more point back to Kraven beating?
Absolutely, yeah.
So there's actually a slight parallel here between Kraven beating Peter here and the very first time that Spider-Man and Kraven fight. The very first time they fight, Kraven tags Spider-Man quite easily then as well, and he hits him with the drug, and he drugs Spider-Man, and he could have taken him out and killed him right then and there, but because he loved the hunt so much, he lets Spider-Man go, and then he goes off and he does some more plotting with Chameleon and stuff, and then by the time he fights Spider-Man, it's too late. And then we see here, he tags Spider-Man with the poison, and as he comes in to kill him, Spider-Man fully expects that, it's all right, like, I'll wake up or whatever, I'll break free. This is going to be one of those, villain with their plot things, and I'm going to break free. And then Kraven just levels a gun at him and shoots him. And it takes him by surprise.
Yeah. And he's surprised by that because he's like, what, a gun? That's true. Yeah. I
just picked up on that. I just thought it was interesting. Like, it amazes me. Like, I wonder if they really were trying to throw that right back to the very first hunt.
They might have. Like we've been mentioning all along here, this book is quite deep. There's a lot of really good storytelling going on here. That's I wouldn't doubt it, you know. Um, and that, thank you very much. That is a great point. But let's read this right here and get a feel. So who's going to be Spider-Man? Maybe Pixel or Dr. Wright? You guys want to try this? Be our reader.
Which one are we reading?
We're reading Peter coming out of the grave.
Let's see. What page is that?
It's he's got it up here. It's 72 in the full comic book, the trade paperback they came out with.
Okay.
It's up on the screen as well.
Warm.
There you go.
Warm. White. Peaceful. And so very, very quiet. I like it here. Wherever here is. Whoever I am. I. Parker? Like it.
Peter Parker? How are you doing, pal?
Peter Parker?
Hey, how come you're looking at me like that? Don't you remember me? Ned Leeds?
I'm Peter Parker? Ned? Ned, what's going on? How did we get here? How? Ned Leeds? Ned Leeds is... How? Dead. You're dead. But that's impossible. Because if you're dead, then I must be... No. I don't know anyone named Ned Leeds.
Dead?
I never heard of Peter Parker.
Oh.
I just want to be left alone.
God.
In the warm.
He's...
White.
Right.
Peace. And quiet.
Oof. Chills, lads.
Come out, come out, come out, come out, come out, come out.
Mary Jane? Mary Jane? No such person. Something's there. No beautiful eyes. Something's there. No soft lips. It's always there. No love. It's always there. No life. I am the spider. Spider the am I. Ned's dead. Gwen's dead. Uncle Ben's dead. I'm dead. No, I am the spider. Immortal, imperishable. Mary Jane? How long have I been this power, this beast, this crawling, all-consuming thing? How long have I seen through the spider's eyes, done the spider's bidding, weaved the spider's web? I am the spider? Is that really who I am? Yes, of course. The spider's strong, fearless. The spider can win, not like I, that weakling, am that coward. I am the one who can die. I am Peter Parker. The spider's dying. The spider never lived. The spider's a trap, a lie, a coffin. And I've got to be rid of it, to be free of it. Free. I'm Peter Parker. That's all I ever was and all I'll ever be. And I'm going to be free. You can't stop me. You can't keep me here. You've murdered a mask, but you haven't murdered a man.
Come out, come out, come out, come out, come out. Come out.
All these years you've misunderstood me. You thought I was something larger than life. You thought I was magic. You thought I was madness. Some creature crawled and spun that hid in the shadows, that mocked and tormented and relieved in darkness. Idiot! There is no spider. Mary Jane? There's just me. Mary Jane, I'm coming. Just a normal guy who got trapped, who got tapped on by the shoulder of fate. Mary Jane, I love you. Just Peter Parker. That's my weakness. That's my strength.
Come out. Come out.
Oh, please. God, don't let it happen again. I've got to see her, touch her, love her.
So I can kill you.
Mary Jane, you've got to help me. Don't leave me here. Don't let me lose you. Again. There is no spider.
I killed you, Spider.
There is no spider. Love.
And I'm going to keep killing you over and over and over and over.
You. I love you.
Boom. Very well done. Very well done. Excellent. Booster is afraid somewhere, I'm sure.
It was beautiful. I was over here crying. It brought tears to my eyes.
It is a great passage and really well read, guys. So yeah, this is a very interesting scene in the book itself, but it also was interesting to us in the broader topic when we were discussing about the inception of Venom and stuff. Is that Peter talking to himself, or is that Peter talking to the symbiote? You know, this is certainly an interesting conversation. What do you guys think? And I know, Denali, you think this right here is the birth of the symbiote gaining control, much more control over Peter. Why don't you give us some ideas on that?
Well, you kind of look at it going back. Here's the madness, Venom's madness. In the vision of Kraven, to kill you over again. And he's reminding himself, Peter, that's my weakness and that's my strength. And then here's you're talking, it's like, all these years you misunderstood me. You thought that I was greater. You thought that I was madness. He's talking to himself. This is me, this is me, this is me. And then here comes Venom. Come out. Come out. So I can kill you again, Spider. I kill you, Spider. I'll keep killing you over and over and over again. You'll fall into this madness. You'll want me. I want you. He's trying to escape. Here's the suit. Here's Venom. Come out, come out, come out. Here's the eyes. Here's the mouth. Come out, come out, come out, come out. Him escaping, him breaking free of the control. This is Venom. This is how he sees everything else. He's like, with Peter Parker, he's whole. Without Peter Parker, he's this. And when Peter Parker breaks out, he goes into madness. And that's how Venom comes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I think Peter Parker identifies with the Spider, part of him, because it's become infused. It's what he does. He is Spider-Man. I think that Venom actually doesn't connect with the Spider part. Yet he connects with the Peter part because he's symbiotically connected to Peter, the guy. And I think that's a difference. And in some of those panels, as Denali was going over it, I kind of got the idea that Venom was struggling with the Spider part and wanted just the Peter so that he could then help, Peter come alive again.
okay. All right. So you're seeing this directly connected to Peter and his abilities coming from the radioactive spider bite. All right. Now I know Dr.
Okay,
Wright. Go ahead, Bruce, Beowulf.
I have a theory that's kind of goes off what Todd was just saying.
Oh, cool.
So what if this, and I don't know enough about the symbiotes, okay? I don't know enough about the pre-Carnage symbiotes, but what if this is when the symbiote really starts to take on the nature of the spider? Because we see when he transfers over to Eddie Brock later, Eddie Brock gets all Spider-Man's powers. What if this is the awakening of Venom, but in a way that it's awakening to the spider that's in Peter as much as the man? Because for me, it's a much more powerful passage if it's the human Peter fighting the spider DNA that's in him, or the radiation power that he got from the spider. If that's the conflict, because it parallels against Vermin, who is this human rat, but Vermin can't overcome his animal nature. he's completely dominated by it, whereas Peter has to beat it, has to overcome it.
That's interesting. Yeah, and I think
And
that
I think-
parallels to what Denali said a little bit. Let me
Yeah.
just make a graph from the chat real quick. Sierra Whiskey says, Venom resents the spider. Venom wants to be Peter's strength. Because Peter has the spider, he doesn't need Venom. Interesting comment. This is coming from Venom later, and Venom doesn't exist yet at this point. But that's an interesting idea, Sierra, and I think there's truth to that for sure. Also, over here in the chat, you know, guys, feel free to ask us some questions and get involved with this trying to understand this comic is what we're doing here. So just go ahead and make comments. I know you guys are enjoying your whole Pope Wars thing, but you know, send some questions our way. Go ahead, Denali.
I just noticed something really wild with this. Just as we were, you know, you were talking about this, and then we have this particular panel up. You know, that says, I didn't catch this before, but maybe we're crazy. It says, "Here lies spider, slain by," right? It doesn't say man in this with his arm in front of it. I don't know if that's intentional as what we were talking about, with the spider versus the man.
Like he's coming out of the grave and leaving the spider behind.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
because you can also say, "Here lies the spider slain by the human." You know, HUM man. If you swap these around, where the Spider-Man and man, human.
Wow, we are such nerds. You guys realize how nerdy we are, right?
I don't know if anyone else has talked about this, but there seems to be a lot of imagery about birth in this.
That is interesting. Huh? I wonder if that's
like,
interesting.
The very first panel, we had Peter curled up around all the white, right? I saw that as a fetus imagery. And then we got him crawling through the tunnel and bursting out, you know? To me, this was representing rebirth.
That's
absolutely. That's what I saw.
Yeah. Now, I know that Dr. Wright is chomping at the bit over there. So go ahead, man.
I don't know if I'm chomping at the bit, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of imagery to unpack in the basic scene. What you've got is more or less a kind of an Oedipus syndrome. And what I mean by that is Oedipus complex is the Oedipus complex is a very brutal kind of story. When I mean brutal as in blunt, in order to tell a specific kind of thing, which is what we're doing is we're rationalizing as you know, you will, you know, consume your father to rationalize your mother, basically, is the kind of thing, you know. And in this case, what he's doing is that's exactly what he's doing. He's destroying the spider, which is the masculine version. It's the bestial version of him, in order to move toward the light, his light, which is Mary Jane. Okay, that's what he's doing, and that's the impetus, the difference, the inspiration of him. That is why he can move on, and the other two can't. Kraven has no one. Kraven has no love. He only loves himself, so he can't rationalize the feminine portion of him, the humanity of himself. He doesn't have it. Okay, and then you look at, you know, Vermin, and it's the same thing. I don't think it's only that, you know, we're not only showing that it's only like the bestial portion of him that he consumes the women. It's also because he's rationalizing. I mean, you even hear him, like he talks about their, you know, their scent, their masked scent, and, you know, the perfume, and, you know, their silk skin, and all these different things that aren't him, because they're not feminine, they're not soft, they're not those kind of features. He can't rationalize that, so he consumes it.
He's hungry for something. He's missing something. Why do they always bring pain for this hunger? I'm only hungry.
But what is, and just like, you know, but what does Spider-Man do? What is the thing that keeps him alive? It's Mary Jane. Through all of it, Mary Jane. And you even look at it like, what is he going toward? Even though it's showing like a gun blast, and it's making it look horrible, he keeps walking towards it. Look at the pictures. He keeps walking towards it, inside it, through it, out of it. And then he's finally into the light. And, you know, in this dismal, dark sky, there's a streak of lightning cracking across the landscape.
Interesting.
He is rationalizing. Yeah, he's rationalizing his feminine side. He's coming to the humane. He's understanding that he is under control, that he has been corrupted, and he's going to break free of it, because he's not a spider. He's a man. He's Peter Parker.
Booyah.
Cool. All right. Now, so we need to kind of fill in some of the holes and continue on here. So Denali, why don't you stop sharing and let's choose a section for you to bring back up. So where do you guys want to move with this? Where in the series do you want to have Denali pick it up?
I think I need to do more Mary Jane lines. I don't know about you lads.
I'm disturbed already. Do you have to
Did
hurt
you-
me more?
Did you want to go where the other birth scene, which, this birth scene was more so for Peter's rebirth, but the other birth scene is Venom's birth, and I think we should look at
that was
look
the
at that.
discussion, right? That was the discussion. Yeah, go ahead and throw that
Yeah.
one up. While you guys
Yeah.
are doing that, let me go over here and check in the chat. Of course, now just to respond, now Sierra Whiskey, I already responded to him, but I think everyone should be aware. Sierra Whiskey says, guys, I just want to take a minute to address the raccoon in Washington, D.C. that attacked 3 people and a few local pets. That was an isolated incident, and he does not represent all raccoons. Thank you. And of course,
Yes, he does.
Yes,
Yes, he
yes,
does.
he does. Yes, and my response was, of course, very, very simple. I asked Sierra what he was doing in Washington, and he said he was in Hawaii, so he has an alibi. If you guys don't know, Sierra Whiskey's icon there is a raccoon, and he has a lot of funny raccoon imagery. Once again, we have a lot of stuff. Joshua Hughes says, Didio, only you don't. Oh, they're responding to your show. They're still on about this. Which is the best Raven, Starfire or which is the best Titan, Starfire or Raven? It's interesting how long you guys go with that. I mean, it's been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks. I know you're having fun, but it's your stamina is quite impressive.
So getting back to the scene, because I just want to tie this off. This is after Spider-Man confronts Kraven and he's chasing after Vermin into the ground, and he's inside the tunnels, and he starts with, I don't want to be here so dark. I want to be home. Home with my wife, home so dark, where it is warm, safe, secure. I'm afraid. Let me out. I am so afraid. And what's amazing is how much the eyes becomes bigger, all encompass. It's not, and we're assumed to believe this is Peter talking, but for me, and people are welcome to disagree, this is actually Venom. This is Venom's birth coming out. Before it was Peter's birth, this is Venom's coming out and him being afraid because Peter's rejecting him. This is the first rejection, and this is him being afraid of that rejection. It's like, but I can't let the fear stop me. Please don't let it stop me. And we see this first image. This first image is the same image, if you look back, of Venom when Eddie Brock meets Peter Parker. Not quite the same, because Brock is kind of swinging by, but it's the same compound. All he's missing is just the mouth. But this is Venom right here. Here's Venom. Here's Venom actualized as a symbiote. And he becomes fully formed with Brock, but here's his birth. And he comes out. The worst of it is over. I'm not dead. Bury me alive. I'm not dead. And then he comes out, finally. His own birth. His own dark birth.
Okay, so what do you guys think about that? Do you think that this is really, truly the symbiote coming completely out in Peter, or do you think there's different imagery going on here?
It's wow. Well, you know what? Also, he ended up there being birthed out of a sewer canal, a mire and a muck. So whatever was birthed is a horrible and terrible thing, right? And that would be the symbiote. At the same time, you have to understand, and this is where we went. Yesterday when we were trying to come up with this concept is are we looking into it too deep, or are we on an actual track? And that's where we led to of who did the writing. is the same writer, the same creator, in his imagination, maybe sneaking in Venom here. Comic book writers do that.
They do.
And what we found was it was the same writer, and it was during a similar time frame. So I think the final analysis was that it was highly possible.
Yeah. That was the conclusion, right? It is cool though, to think that was going on and all the planning and stuff. Because now let's set this aside for 1 second and let's talk about what's going on in modern day Marvel. Because mentioning that they plan ahead and they have little Easter eggs before and the inceptions and all those kind of things that were very in depth, and that's something that Stan Lee did quite a bit as well. Now, do you think any of that's going on these days in modern day Marvel? Are they really thinking that far ahead, or are they just very shallow and very, they don't really have direction? I feel that they don't have any kind of direction. But maybe you guys have different opinion of what's going on in modern Marvel in respects to creating a deep character, a deep story that has connections throughout many previous issues. How do you guys think about that? Let's go ahead and ask Booster first, because I'm sure he has.
I think they're just crapping out whatever script they can at the time, and they just put it on the page, and they're like, "Yep, good, done." Put it out to the bloody printers. I don't think they think that far ahead anymore, man.
So that's a no from you. Okay, I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Put down no. Underline it twice.
I did it 3 times.
Well, now, yeah, there you go.
All right. So, Beowulf, what do you think, man? What do you think about that question?
Oh, I hate to agree with the Kiwi, but I'm there. Yeah, they're just putting out anything they can at the moment. It's all about identity politics for them at the moment. They have to please the group think. They can't go too far away with creativity, and they're just not putting the effort in. There's no. I'm not seeing a whole bunch of callbacks to old issues and stuff, and bringing back old beloved storylines and characters in a way that's new and fresh to a new audience. I'm not seeing that. So
yeah, first drafts, a lot of first drafts, I think. Yeah, true. All right. So I'm writing you down as a no as well. I'm going to put 4 underlines on that one. Now, Dr. Wright, what do you think on this question?
Wait, why did you get more underlines than me?
Because his country's bigger.
Okay, I'm going. Just give me a second. I'm going to read something that I wrote a while back, actually.
All right.
And it's a poem. It's kind of silly, but just bear with me. They came in with pink hair and screams of Hillary, kidnapping our heroes and leaving no place for you or me. And if we dared to call them wrong or have our own say, our voices were silenced and we were told to go away. The heroes were the start, but that's not what they wanted to kill. It's the children, nay, the future that they wish to bend to their will. Their rhetoric poisons the paradise of our goals and our dreams, leaving no place for our thoughts and laying our aspirations at their feet. So there we were, muted and errant, with our myths dying all around, when a few artists took a stand and dug their heels in the ground. They gave us new heroes and choices at the cost of their names and careers, and with their efforts they blazed a path to a shiny new frontier. Now our enemies cheer for us to lose our way and die in rancid reprobate. They want to see us burn in flames of anger that can never abate. Instead, let's stand in solidarity and build a home of inclusion, not hate. Prove them wrong, carry on strong, and show them how to comics gate.
Ooh, I like it. That gets a clap. That's a clap. Claps, lots of claps.
Unmute my mic.
Yeah,
cool. That was pretty good, actually. It's not silly at all. That was fun.
Yeah.
So I guess your answer is no.
Yeah. I actually wrote, I have a video where I talked about how basically that SJWs have sacrificed any narrative ability or intention for the agenda of creating a preconceived notion and message that they want to indoctrinate people with. They're basically just, regressive chick tracks.
Yeah. Wow. There you go. It's a very coarse way to put it, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
And
I think.
I'm gonna go to DeWolf in a minute. Denelli, can you do me a favor and pull up
Mhm.
the Vermin and Kraven fight, please?
Sure.
And
Um,
before, go ahead, Denelli.
yeah, I was going to say to add my 2 cents. They had a plan all the way until Civil War, because you can see after Civil War they didn't know what else to do, and that's where all the, I guess, craziness and bad writing and the secret wars and everything else after that just fall apart. It was like Civil War was their last hurrah, and
Yeah.
now they were from there.
They should have used Civil War to introduce a lot of new characters and kind of put new energy in the comics, and they failed to do that. Yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, I just want to catch a couple comments before I come over to DeWolf's opinion on that question. Uh, and we have over here we have John Piner says that whatever Denali says, I'm with him. He knows all about comics. Thank you, John. Okay. Hoth Rebel 86 says, "Hey fans, I love these character analysis videos. Great evergreen content. Yeah, I'm loving this a lot as well. I'm kind of wondering if we found our stride with this. Actually, I love just sitting talking about the comic in depth like this. What do you guys think?"
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fun, especially if I could do manly lady voices. I like that a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, because that's what's
Yeah.
missing in comics. It's missing Booster ruining classic, iconic female roles.
Yeah, of course.
no.
That's my niche.
No, he's going to be. He's just showing everybody the preview of the new female voices for Marvel Rising.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think I should do Squirrel Girl. Yeah.
Yeah, you should. We should. That might actually be a lot of fun. Just Vilnid, thank you very much for coming. She's off. Uncle Lee is on. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I love this. I've had a lot of fun the past couple of days doing these. It's certainly a lot of fun. And of course, we want to get DeWolf's answer on the question of, is modern day Marvel shallow, or is it
Well,
or is it good or shallow? So no would be the shallow, I guess.
I think they do have a long-term plan. Yet, you have to take that into consideration. They also have the attention span of a squirrel,
Ooh.
and their long-term vision is that they're trying to develop is obstructed by walls with great big slogans and agendas on them.
Yeah, it's all about the
So, yeah.
identity politics. It's the problem. But
There's a 1,000-mile vision out there, and then there's all these walls up of agenda, so you can never get to that ending point with any clarity.
But see, if that was true, and they actually created some depth to their characters and had some really good writing, it might put some people off, but a lot of us would be, hey, well, it's well written and they have something going on. There's an idea, there's an impetus here, but they're not doing this at all. It's just this incredibly shallow, lackluster nothingness that's going on in the comics right now. And I know there's a couple here or there that are good. I get that. But in general, it's just, where did all the good writers go? That's my question. I guess they just fired them.
Well, they cut him out the pasture.
Yeah,
I mean, that's okay. I'm gonna broach a sensitive topic here, so my apologies. But the whole Heather Antos thing, I mean, everybody talks about that. They talk about the 4 comments. They don't talk about the fact that there was misspellings, horrible stories, and bad stuff going on, and people were talking about that. And then all of a sudden, this picture came out where they're like diversity, and there's 7 cute white girls drinking a milkshake.
No,
and they're all
young.
assistant editors.
And look at we just had Barrett, Mr. Barron on, right? You got Barron, you got Artie Bear, you got all these other guys are very old. I think there's a big part of this might be ageism.
Yeah, I mean, look at it like Chuck Dixon. Chuck Dixon is, I mean, he should be running something. You know, he should be making a lot of people better somewhere. Look at like Billy Tucci. Billy Tucci's working his butt off to make, you know, a few indie comics and barely afford his house. That guy should be running a publishing house by now.
Yeah.
He'd be amazing. He'd love to help those younger people.
Yeah.
Instead, who do you have? You have like CB Cebulski, who's doing absolutely nothing because he's controlled by the manipulation of like Sama Amanat and all those people. I mean,
he's making Thanos burgers. Come on. Well, come on. That was a little bit funny, guys.
Yeah,
he's making Thanos burgers. Sorry.
Snap.
Sorry to try to interject the joke there, Dr. Wright. Go ahead, continue.
Oh no, I just had to mute myself for a second because I was coughing. Sorry about that.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, you know, there's just all this kind of political nonsense and everything going on, and then people will complain and tell you, oh, you don't like diversity, oh, you don't like that. Like, I have a story that's got a black king, 3 women, and a pansexual 15-year-old girl. She's pansexual because she can transform into anything, and since she can change into anything, I don't see why she would care about somebody's body.
Yeah, okay, but is it well written?
I wrote it. Of course it's well written.
There you go. All right. But I mean, that's the key that for me, that keeps coming back to it. And the thing with the editors, though, an editor should be an elder statesman. Now, is there a younger person who could do the job? Of course, there's the rare individual. But the editor should be an elder statesman who's been in the industry for a long time, knows exactly what they're doing, and has the ability to say no. Right? And having all these young 20-something girls running around being editors at Marvel is just plain and simply insulting. It's insulting. I don't care how talented or skilled they may be. They in no way have life experience to be able to do that job. And they've shown us this in their editing, as you had mentioned, Dr. Wright. There are lots of mistakes. There's so many things that are coming on these comics today that back in, just, 20 years ago, they would just be laughed out the door and thrown out. They wouldn't even be working there, let alone have the ability to put forward scripts. It's insane. It's just insane.
I reckon I should put on a bloody wig fly over there and get a job there.
Yeah.
I'd sort them out. Yeah. Like, how you doing, Jordan White? I'm applying for a job. Like, did it, you comment, mate? Give us a smooch.
Oh,
God.
All right.
Okay.
Right, well, I think we covered that subject pretty well, but it's sad, really. So really, the word is sad. But now you got that place in the comic ready? There you go. Now this is interesting. We don't have to read it, but we'll just go through now. Vermin is down here. He's eaten a couple people in the comic. We've actually, I think, there was a scene before this where he was the scene that I'm sure DeWolf had mentioned. I'm pretty sure you mentioned that she really didn't like it, where they kind of inferred that Mary Jane was out walking about looking for Peter, kind of talking to herself about how silly she was being by doing so. And there was a couple of guys looked like they were going to come out and attack her, maybe rape her. And of course, we had Kraven come down and just tear them out. And of course, Mary Jane thought it was Peter, and then she realized it wasn't, because of the way how he was acting. And of course, Vermin came out right after that, and they also insinuated that he was going to eat her, but he was too busy to eat her at that moment. So Mary Jane was in quite deadly straits there for a moment, which brings us to this panel. Now, before we get to this page, anybody want to make any comments on Mary Jane's attack, or her possibly have been being food to Vermin?
Oh, definitely. And I think Dr. Wright also has a few comments as well.
Yeah.
So I'll let him go first. Well, as we were talking before last night when you two decided to fall down, I was in the same opinion that the closest with Dr. Wright, and he's the one who put words for what I was thinking, and pointing it out, was that the closest that Peter Parker was to actual death was in those scenes. Had the two guys raped her, or if Kraven did not beat those two guys up, if Vermin actually ate Mary Jane, and Peter would have nothing to live for. He would be the same as Vermin. He would be the same as Kraven. He would lose himself, to the pain of the world, and whatever was Peter would have been broken at that time. He would be dead.
True. Interesting. All right. Well, Dr. Wright, I know you have some opinions on that before we get to this. Why don't you go ahead and tell us?
Well, I mean, you basically covered, like, I mean, that's the closest that Peter comes to dying, but it's also, if you think about it, it's the element that, like again, I talked about postmodernism and what it's against. One of the things that it is against is that idea of fate, of destiny, of some sort of intercedence, because, as like I said before, they can't handle millennials and the people that think in the postmodern theocracies cannot handle something being above them, being that they can't control. You know what I mean? They don't want to handle God. They don't want to handle like those kind of things. Like supernatural, they're okay with because it's fake. But something that they, that somebody else believes is real, they get very upset with. It's like the basic, we used to have, you being an English teacher, you remember the 7 basic conflicts, but now it's 6 because supernatural and God are together.
Yeah.
And, going back to that, what I was going to say is, if, it was only by fate, by happenstance, that Vermin walks away. He even says, "I'm hungry," but he walks away because he's got something else to do.
Yeah. This book is full of those great moments. But I know for you, DeWolf, this is part of the comic series, The Run, that you didn't care for. Would you like to give us some comments on that, sir?
Oh, I don't know. I guess it touches more to that carnal psychoticness of the whole thing. Because that's what I didn't like when I was reading through it, is this psychotic nature of Kraven, and you also see that psychotic nature in Vermin here too. The absolute destruction of something that is fine and lovely and with complete, emotionless, and that murderous sociopath. And and at first I got it from Kraven, and then I get it through here, with Vermin. And as Vermin keeps going on, he's eating. I mean, not just killing, eating people. Yeah, I did not like that. Which of course is also a great technique for a writer to get that deep on nearing the concept of horror, right, involved in the storyline, which means that the final redemption, the final culmination of goodness is far more greater. So I can respect it whether I like it or not.
All right. Well said. It is disturbing. And this, as we said before, guys, this book, this run is not for children. In no way is this for children. It is very adult themed. Now, of course, we don't have the bat wing that we got from Batman Damned recently in it, but it is the ideas and concepts are very adult. And now let's go over here to our Oceanus brothers and talk to Beowulf and Booster. So, Beowulf, you have any comments on the whole Mary Jane's brush with death there?
Not much more than what's already been covered.
Okay.
I think it is important to draw out that she is what Peter fights for, and that's that ongoing thread throughout the story. But
that's true.
Yeah, not a whole lot more there.
Okay. How about you, Booster? Anything to add, or we move on?
Yeah, why the hell was she bloody walking around?
Because she's worried about Peter. He's been missing for 2 weeks.
Oh, it's just silliness, walking around New York in the rain at night. Just silliness, I say.
Silliness. You're right. All right, Denali, go ahead and throw that up. Let's take a look at this here. Now, in this right here, we see the fight between Vermin and Kraven. Now, this is an important scene. We're not going to read through it, but just look at it. You can scroll down a little bit, Denali. this is kind of important because Kraven's whole thing is he wants to prove, at this moment in the comic, he wants to prove himself superior to Spider-Man. He has killed Spider-Man, put him in the ground. He's taken over his identity as Spider-Man, and he feels he's doing a better job at it. But ultimately, he wants to defeat the foe that Spider-Man can't defeat. Now, Spider-Man couldn't defeat Vermin on his own. He had to get the help of Captain America in a previous comic. So he wants to prove that he is superior. That's Kraven's whole thing. He's manic, he's crazed, and he's got himself pumped up on his African magic and alchemy. And he's going to prove that he can beat Vermin one-on-one. And of course, in this fight, he does defeat Vermin and takes him captive. That's what happens in this whole scene. It's a great little fight scene. I like this scene quite a bit. But any comments on this, guys? On Kraven's motivation, or Vermin himself, or anything to add before we move on to toward the end of the story here?
It's two beasts fighting right now. It's him becoming the spider and saying, once I become the spider, once I am Spider-Man, once I prove things, then my whole hunt is complete. And as you can kind of see it, he's like, you're right. I wasn't alone, talking about that, but I'll defeat you now because I have the power to do so, because I gave my humanity to do so, to become the beast, to become, all powerful for the hunt. And you continue fighting. It doesn't matter, if you rip them into shred. It doesn't matter, if you hit them with pipes. Right now, here you go. Almost the same kind of pose again. Beast and beast. Grr, growl. They're growling.
Look at these sound effects. It's just grr, growl, rawr, and everything.
Yeah. It's a great fight scene. It's really well illustrated.
Yeah. And then when you start thinking about, his past, the past that he's trying to, let go and destroy and forget about, he becomes man again. Here's his man version again. And that's when he's able to overpower the beast. But before that time, before he was animal-like, they were equally matched. It's only when he let go of his bestial nature and focus on his humanity is when he was able to beat the Vermin.
Wow.
But he doesn't know. But he doesn't know that. He's assuming that I'm the spider. I've become the spider. It's like, and if you think of African culture, what the spider is, the spider god, is that they're tricksters and they never fight, directly. They fight indirectly with wisdom and intelligence. So when he became the spider, he became the man, and he used wisdom to regain reason over the beast.
Interesting. You really thought that out, Denelli. That's very, very deep. Now we're going to talk about it with everybody else here. Denelli, could you do us a favor and go get to the last scene where Kraven is standing in front of the coffin, please? Yeah, guys, what do you think about this this fight that's going on, and Denali's opinion that Kraven starts as the beast but then becomes the man again? Maybe there's some realization starting to come to him. What do you guys think? Any comments on that?
I was thinking there was quite a few. I was going to say I thought there was quite a few callbacks when he was in front of his trophies. Remember when he jumped in front of the panther, had the panther stance, and he was in front of the gorilla, had the gorilla stance?
Yeah.
He was doing a similar thing with Vermin in that fight.
He was, yeah.
He was matching his stances.
Ah, cool. Okay, so a fight critique. What about you, Beowulf? What do you think about that whole scene that was taken on there?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting trying to get into his mind, into the mind of Kraven, and this whole need to test himself one last time to defeat the foe that Spider-Man couldn't.
That's right, and that's his purpose.
Become the Spider.
And I also think it's interesting too that even though this series is all about Kraven, most of the series he is Spider-Man. He's dressed as Spider-Man. He's not in his classic Kraven outfit only in the beginning and the very end. Actually, in the beginning, I don't think we see it at all, do we? Yeah, we do see it. Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that during this, mainly we see him in the Spider-Man costume. I thought that was it's an interesting little thing because this is about Kraven. Go ahead, Dr. Wright. You had an opinion.
Well, I was just going to disagree. I think it's actually the opposite. But the reason why I believe it is the opposite is because of the symmetry of the book. Like we were talking earlier about we showed the one picture of Spider-Man as he's coming through the sewer canal, the sewer tunnel, into the lair of Vermin at the closer to the end of the book, and what that mirrors is the first page of the story, because you have Kraven kneeling in nearly the same pose, but he walks through a curtain that's soft into a like we said before, a room of opulence, a room of decadence. He drinks wine. He's in an air-conditioned facility outside of everything. And so it kind of, the old saying, that if you take the easy way, it's usually the wrong way. That the right path is usually curved and difficult. And so you have the mirror of Spider-Man. What does he do? Well, the Spider-Man, he's crawling through a sewage tunnel into a realm of filth. And he faces his darkness instead of running away from it. And so what I believe is when Kraven goes down there, he's not becoming a man. He's actually giving in to the beast, to the anger, to the hate. Because he's willing to kill. He's willing to destroy this life in front of him. When at the end, Spider-Man is given the same opportunity, he's not. He's merciful. He wants Vermin to live.
Cool. And it is interesting that we keep going back to the beginning of the book and then back onto the scene. It's this book is super deep, man, and it's really enjoying it. So, DeWolf, you want to add anything to that?
You know what? At first I had to say I didn't get it. That this aspect of being this part of the story being in here where he now puts on this costume as Spider-Man, and he's now going after Vermin. The title is called Kraven, the Last Hunt, and I was just reading this going, this doesn't make sense. I don't see where this is going. What in the world? This is a twist in here that it doesn't work for me. I don't get it. And then I listened to the Denali Lama. And so, and then I realized, which is funny because this is, I'm glad you waited around because I think this is a nice segue. Now I do get it, because he becomes Spider-Man, he becomes the Beast, he's becoming this, he's becoming that, as he kept saying, and I realized that the whole concept of this that is happening isn't that he hunted Spider-Man, that the last hunt is his hunt to kill off Spider-Man, that the last hunt is the hunt for himself.
Yes, it is. That's exactly the point. Yeah. Excellent. You have found your way, Grasshopper.
So I'm sharing this, which shows the tomb again.
Yeah.
Here lies Spider-Man slain by the Hunter. Well, think about it. Before it was Peter Parker as Spider-Man, but also guess who else wore the Spider-Man costume in this storyline? Kraven. Kraven was Spider-Man, and he was slain by himself. He slain himself.
Yes, and this is the last scene we're going to cover in the book. We do suggest you guys all go and read this story, this series, a 6-part series in the Spider-Man comics from 1987. I don't know if it flows over to 1988 as well, but it's a series of books, and you can find it in a trade paperback form. And in here we see, of course, the death of Kraven. And go ahead and scroll down, Denali. All right. And he gives this little bit of self-eulogy, I guess, and then he ends his life. So let's go ahead and read this one page. Go up top And let's have our resident Russian, DeWolf, read this. Go ahead, man.
How calm I feel, how peaceful, as if something inside me, some knot, some tangle of fear and anger and so much more has been finally untied. All these years fleeing Russia, suffocating in America, finding release, finding honor in the jungle. All these years, and I've never known peace or calm or that elusive thing called happiness. But I feel as if I can know it now, that it's nearby, just outside perhaps, hidden in the patter of the rain and the drumbeat of the thunder. Peace, calm, happiness, and ending.
Okay.
Now.
Hold on,
And the
next page.
Kraken.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
They said my mother was insane.
So he kills himself. But now the interesting thing about this is, even though he kills himself, is this actually a moment of sadness or a moment of happiness for Kraven the Hunter? Why don't we go
If
ahead
you,
and start with... no, go ahead.
I was going to say, if we go back a few pages, there's one where, you know, just before Spider-Man's fighting Kraven, and Kraven hops on the elephant, and Spider-Man, you know, shakes him off that elephant. It's an elephant trophy. There's this one where Kraven is crouching, and Spider-Man's just standing there. Then Kraven just walks up to him, and he puts a finger on Spider-Man's chin, you know? Do you know which page I'm talking about?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's content. He's done. He's won. He's at peace now.
He's even compassionate toward Peter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By becoming the spider, he was able to accept his feminine side, basically, the part that they were rejecting. And because of that, he couldn't, it was an ending. He couldn't accept it. He couldn't continue. There was nothing beyond that moment.
Yeah, well...
They said my mother was insane.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
He keeps talking about his family throughout the series. Dr. Wright, I'm sure you have some opinions on this ending of Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah. So I kind of agree with some of that. What I see here from a rationale standpoint is what you see when he's being thrown off the elephant, and he is and then he, you know, kind of tucks him under the chin like a little boy or something, is not him rationalizing yet. He doesn't care yet, because right after that, what he's trying to do is he's trying to goad Vermin into attacking Spider-Man, because he says, haha, you can't, you know, he's like, I want to prove that I could beat him and you can't. So he's still trying. He's still like, you know, who's got the bigger muscles? You know, who's got the more elongated phallic receptacle here. And so, you know, he's still playing that game, and there's nothing going on, you know, other than that. What happens then is that Vermin and Spider-Man fight, and Spider-Man is willing to die to keep Vermin alive.
That's right.
And that's when he realizes that he is the beast, and he is no longer imbibed with herbs and potions and poisons and roots. And he can see as a man, and he sees a true man fighting this creature, this beast that he has unleashed upon him. And that even though it is willing to kill Spider-Man, Spider-Man is not willing to kill him. And so he gets him off of him. You know, he helps him. And he doesn't allow him to kill Peter. And then he lets Vermin leave. And then he helps Spider-Man up. And he protects him. He holds him like he would a son. And carries him, you know, up. It's almost... It's like, you know, that old adage, you know, that where a father's teaching a son, and then as the son gets older, he begins to teach the father, or a teacher and their student. You know, it's like, now you have become the master kind of thing. And he thought all along he was going to teach Spider-Man a lesson, that he was going to show him what it took to be strong in the world. And what ended up happening is that Spider-Man showed him how you be strong.
Exactly.
You accept your humanity. You accept your position and your reflection of the world. Like you accept that you're part of it and stop trying to be away from it. And he realized, you can kind of see it. I don't know, like I just see it in his eyes, and like I don't know what page this is that I'm looking at. Let me see. Well, I don't know, but he's in the one panel where he's kind of there's a window, and Peter's kind of kneeling right next to it, or sort of leaning against it. It's broken, and he's holding him up, and it shows Peter's face, and he's like, why are you using this? And Kraven tells him, that I'll give you my word. I'm a man of honor. And you can see the earnestness, the anger, all the bulbous kind of pulp of his face that's been present in the entire rest of the book is gone, and it's just him. And he's just in the fading candlelight of his room with the streaks of lightning flashing across, and he's just him. He's just human. And I like to think like he's about to shed a tear there, because it looks like he is in the next scene. And then it kind of shows the rain, so you think that it's happened. And he says, I don't doubt it. Every man, every woman, every nation, every age has its spider. You have been mine. What a burden.
And of course, he's had an epiphany here, right?
Yeah, and the thing is like in this moment, and I was telling them last night, and I'll say it here, is like, let me blow your mind a little bit, in that it's a much simpler way to think of it. Every age has its spider, its burden. What is another more common way that we normally say someone carrying a burden? We say, it is your cross to bear. And how many points does a cross have?
4.
It's got 4. How many arms and legs does a man have? 4.
I'm not sure about Booster,
does a
but
spider have? And how many legs does a spider have? 8.
So, what is the connection between the 4 arms, the 4 points of the cross, and the 8 legs of a spider?
Well, I'm saying that's what it is. A cross to bear is a spider. That's exactly what it is. It's a man carrying a cross.
I see. Okay.
And so what he is, and what he's saying here, is that you have been my cross. You have been this thing, this weight that I finally realize I never had to carry, because you carry it for me.
So why, after this epiphany and this understanding and this coming to peace, Beowulf, why do you think that Kraven decided to kill himself? He's finally come to peace. He's finally realized his mistake. He's had his epiphany, but yet then he turns around and kills himself. What do you think, Beowulf? What's the reasoning for that?
So, I suppose the way I understand it is, he has a line where he says that, Spider-Man's just a man, but in him is the beast. That same beast that destroyed Russia, broke his father, killed his mother. He tests himself against that beast. He becomes the beast. He beats the beast. It's the ultimate challenge for him. He achieves it, and there's nothing left for him. He has that sense of happiness and peace, in the sense that he achieved the one thing that he's always lived for. But now his life's over. There's nothing for him beyond that point. If he was to continue living, he wouldn't continue happy. He wouldn't be happy. He wouldn't be at peace. He would realize probably how empty his life was. And I think he just reaches the end and realizes there's nothing left. He has defeated his own beast. He defeated the thing that defeated his mother, his father, Russia, and then he ends it.
Yeah, no, I think so. And he's very old too. This is something he is coming from the back when he was a child, when the Bolshevik Revolution took place. and he's kept himself young and virile with his African alchemies that he has found. So, but we are definitely getting super tight on time. We could talk about this forever, I'm sure. We could go into more detail of every page. But let me get a last comment here on either the Kraven deciding to end his life or just the overall comic before we move on real quick. Anybody have a final comment on this?
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I mentioned that he was hunting. He was hunting himself, and he used a rifle, which you hunt with, on himself. But it's a perfect story for October because it could be very easily written due to its macabre nature by Edgar Allan Poe, and also with the tragic nature that it is, which I don't understand. I look at Kraven, and I see all this peace that he has. Well, from Peter Parker's perspective, from the perspective of Superman, perspective of Captain America, which is what my perspective is that, ooh, hey, great epiphany, I can move on, I can be better, I can do something greater with my life and be the hero. Well, he is a villain. And what we find with many villains through like Edgar Allan Poe, or the other term that we also like to use here is Shakespearean tragedy, is where this is at. And I think this could be put up there into some great pieces of literature, if you will, this Kraven's Last Hunt, and compare it to those works of art, just the same as a great tragedy. And that's why he does have to kill himself, and you can't have a happy ending because his life is tragedy.
It is. And once again, we suggest everyone listening, go read this book. Go read this series. It's really good. Any other closing comments before we move on to the last part here?
Yeah, I want to just say that, like, if you go back and listen to this show, if you've been paying attention, you're going to see that we've had times when we've disagreed with each other over certain interpretations, and I think that speaks to the depth of this book. It's not shallow. It's not something you can sit down, read once, and get it all. It's something that's going to speak to everybody slightly differently, and that you probably change your mind if the second time you read it. It's really that rich, and it blew me away. It absolutely blew me away when I read it.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%.
Going over it now, I can already see my mind shift. That's why, I sit here dreading almost when you're about to ask, "What about you, Beowulf? What do you think?" Because I'm like, I don't know what I think. It's like it's constantly changing.
No, but that's a hallmark of a good story. We saw it today in the stream right now when the wolf said, I didn't get it. This didn't work for me. And then finally it shifted. He skewed his perception a bit and saw it another way, and he got it. And that's a hallmark of a good story, that, maybe it doesn't hit you the first time, but you read it again and you think about it some more, and then you got hit. And I think the main reason, and a point that I want to stress here, is people dream. People have dreams. They have hopes. They have something to look forward to. And in the case of Kraven, he achieved this dream. There's nothing left. If a man doesn't have something to dream for, something to hope for, something to keep them moving, they die. End of story. You see that, putting in perspective, when old people retire from their job and they have nothing to do, they fade away. When loved ones pass away, the spouse pass away afterward because their light passed away. In the same vein here, he achieved the ultimate goal of happiness of that hunt. He was looking for that last hunt, is because he found the happiness. He found what he was looking for and realized there's nothing left. He's alone, and he only has the beast with him, and he had to go.
Wow. Yeah, it's a great story, and and I agree with everything you guys have said. So let's move on to the last question of this idea of a show we have here. We've taken a deep look into Kraven himself. We've looked at this the greatest Kraven book, and therefore the last question is simply this: he is ranked number 53 of all time of villains, the number 53rd all time villain. Is he underrated or overrated? Beowulf.
Before reading this book, I would have said he was overrated. After reading it, I think he's underrated.
All right. Booster.
Oh, I'd say he serves as a great character for this particular story, but I don't know whether or not he's been in anything else that's particularly great. So I guess I'm in the middle there, but this is a great read either way, you know.
Okay.
But
So,
what it says about him as a character itself, I can't say for sure.
so do you think that 53 is too high?
No, not at all. I think it's about where he should be.
All right. So it's dead on then. All right. DeWolf, what do you think? Over or under?
Yeah, I got to go along with Beowulf on that. That I would have thought that he was a little overrated before, or at least just where I think after this story he would be a little bit more underrated. That he should be higher. And once again, the tragedy there is that it takes a story like this in order to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What do you think, Janelli? Over or under?
So before I read this story, and it's coming along the same lines, he was just a generic jungle man hunter. So he was overrated because he didn't have anything. But with this one, that added depth, that added pathos, and all this good stuff, it was underrated, and he was severely underrated because this is a lot of potential, and was just a glimpse of potential, and it took his last hunt to show that potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Wright, is it over or under, sir?
It's definitely an underrated character, especially after this has come out. A lot of them, I think, what I wanted to say before was the reason why he had to kill himself was because he understood now what the world was, and he had no place in it. Like if you've ever seen Watchmen, or read the comic series, at the very end of it, Rorschach, he realizes that, Ozymandias has done the right thing overall, and he hates himself for it. He can't live in that world. He can't be there.
It's true. We
His
don't want to get too
ethos.
deep in the Watchmen because we might well do it.
Okay, well, his ethos won't allow it.
That'll
Neither
be a
will
bloody
Kraven's.
4-part series, maybe even longer if we.
Kraven's ethos and morality won't allow him to live in a world like he sees, and Spider-Man lets him understand that is the world now. This is what the world is. This is what is better. And he's like, I can't live here. There's no place for me here.
Yeah. All right. So the general consensus is that he is underrated, except for Booster, who thinks he's right where he should be. But I definitely think the character is underrated. Now, of course, I and the others here, we have read more than just this book. I've read Kraven in many things, and I've always loved Kraven. He's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, and I certainly think he's underrated. But hey, decide for yourself and go read it. Check this out. Check out other things that Kraven's in. But this Last Stand is, I think, one of the good ones. Now, we are going to do a giveaway for this book, but unfortunately, we're too tight on time to do that today. So what we will do is I will do that giveaway on the next Bugbear's Basement next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will do it right at the top of the show. Well, we'll do it when we get enough people in here. I'd really wanted to do it now, but I'm really tight on time. I have to go do the fan edition of Drawn and Quartered here in a few minutes. So I need to get off here and jump over on Jake's channel. And I hope you guys all come over and join us there, because those Drawn and Quarters are really a lot of fun. And we got some good artists on today as well. So I do need to get off and go do that. But thank you guys all for joining us here. Remember that Friday we have Fan Speak at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and all the other things we have going on. There's a bunch of links down there. Get involved with the things we're doing. Go to Fan Speak, join, give your art, give your opinions, join us on the chat, do all those kind of things. So now everyone just go ahead and either give your last little comment or say goodbye. But I got like a minute, so go ahead, Beowulf.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for everyone for coming. It's been an awesome time, awesome adventure going through this book with you guys, and I look forward to next week. Take care.
All right, Booster.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'd love to do more of this, and I definitely know which book I'd like to do next. Dark Knight Returns. But yeah, I'm going to be on the D&Q fan edition as well, and I hope you guys join us. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been. And DeWolf.
And they said my mother was insane.
Okay, Denali.
The perception shapes your reality. Make sure you have something to look forward to. Make sure you have your light so you may continue on and enjoy your life to the fullest. Make it a good one.
Namaste. And Dr. Wright, once again, thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you will continue to join us. I really enjoy having you on the show. It brings another way of looking at things, and it's really been a lot of fun. So why don't you give your closing comments, sir?
Yeah, no problem. I really appreciate you guys welcoming me to the community and everybody here. It's been an honor to be on here with the rest of the panelers and have a great time. So I'd absolutely continue to do this with you guys, and I hope we have a lot more in the future. So thanks very much for watching, and have a great night.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. This was a lot of fun, and we will check you out later. Remember, Fan Edition is coming right up, and don't miss Fan Speak this Friday at 8 p.m. All right, later, everybody. Bye.
Aloha.